Hello and welcome to episode 43 of our Timberborn Update 7 Iron Teeth Project 1K playthrough. Cycle 77 days 6, 22 and a half days left, and the bad tide that just started. So, last time we finally freed ourselves from the shackles of the tiny tubeway stations being used for vertical transport. And while it is sad to see those go away, it is very good to be able to actually play the game again. If you'll excuse me right there. But we also started putting in large warehouses here, and we're going to continue just as soon as we're able to get everything else put back in place. And there is still so much to be done, so I appreciate your patience as we work through it. We started the process of putting in additional water pumps here, and I thought I came up with a really smart idea right here to put these large tanks on the corners. But then I remembered, thanks to some of your very helpful comments, that the way this is set up, we only, on these sides right here, only have space for 2 complete rows of water pumps. This is only 2 blocks here, and it's not going to allow us to place more pumps. But what will fit there are large tanks with the doorways turned here. And depending on how we set this up, I could fit 1, 2, 3, and then, you know, an empty space right here. So we can for sure put 3 of them, depending on how we want to have things oriented. I think that would be a pretty good use of space. And that also would allow us to, for the sake of argument here, take that out. And yes, take the frog statue out. I know. Unbearable crimes against frog kind here. But if I take this out just like so, I somehow, in my infinite wisdom, managed to forget that we can limit how deep these straws go. And if I set this one to 4, and this one could just stay like it is, this is never going to pump this completely dry. And it's going to allow us to still use as many of these pumps as possible. So I think that's going to be the way we want to go. Obviously, there's still tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of work to get done. So we'll check back in on this after a time. We've also been informed that we did not connect a pathway here. I always forget. Yeah, see, they turned right around. I always forget now with Update 7 that you do have to do that with the ladders. So thanks for reminding me on that. And I also have a little bit more to get rid of here. I thought the 3 was going to take me all the way down, but I still need a single dynamite. And then we'll put more row houses here. And then at that point we can connect to this side and reorganize a whole bunch of stuff. This large tank of extract here has to be removed. And I had originally just said, you know what, we'll set this to empty. But we're not going through extract that quickly. Part of the reason is we don't have a huge enough beaver population yet. So, you know, we can do a little bit of encouragement in that regard by building some more advanced breeding pods. And I know this is a mess. They're absolutely everywhere. It is what it is. But because this space exists, I can pop in 3 more right there, and I think that's going to be it for right now. Just so that these eventually get built, and we can have plenty of beavers slowly, over time, sustainably. Just the way we should be doing it anyhow. But that'll help drain this a little bit faster. We do still have to expand this part of the reservoir here. This side also has to have some things relocated. And then this entire side here, including the approach path to the district center that has not been correctly named, but that's okay because it has to move anyway, so we'll just fix it when it becomes District 6. But this entire side has to go. It has to go one more this way. And yes, friends, this enormously ugly water filler-upper thing is going to go away. And we are going to instead replace it with a little filler on this level with the eggplants. Now, why the eggplant level? Well, this is completely disconnected here. And by putting it in at the lowest possible place, this will fill the reservoir from the bottom up. And I think that is going to be the best way to go. We also, because this is... see if I can figure out exactly how I have this set up. Yeah, I don't want it to be on this exact level here because then I'm going to have to use more sluice gates. So by having it be one level above this, I can keep it over most of the eggplants, not this specific routing for it. But I can have this come straight across here. Go up one more level here. That is going to require that I remove this farmhouse in the corner, which isn't a big deal. We can always put it somewhere else. But I'll remove this farmhouse in the corner, and then this set of tubeways on this 6x1 overhang is going to have to go on the ground for these 3 squares here. And that should be the only place where I'm going to have to do that. So, seeing where we are now, let's remove these 2 here. And that should make this a whole lot easier. We also kind of have a problem, just a little bit, because this tiny tubeway station is currently how we access all these paths here. And because of how this has been constructed, we are going to have to do a pretty substantial removal of everything here. But if I get rid of these vertical tubeways, then, oh, that's not that much to rebuild. That's fine. All I need to do is rotate this 90 degrees this way, so we can still access here and here, because this is going to be completely cut off. And seeing how this is set up, I really don't think that's going to be that big of a loss. At least not for the time being. Once we rebuild all of the tubeways, then it's going to be business as usual, except it's going to be slightly uglier. But that's fine. Oh, this isn't even connected all the way over here, because somebody didn't put all of the terrain back in. And this forester down here needs to be replaced. There's so many projects, so many things to do. So many things to do. So we'll just, take it one step at a time. Do what we can. That's about all we can do. Pop that there. I'm going to just straight up remove this 6x1. That is going to disconnect this entire ring, basically. But because we've done this specific way, I think we're going to be in good shape. Now, there is one kind of problem with how I have this set up, and that is this stack is going to be in the way of what we'd have to have for a wall for our aqueduct. So it's not that big of a deal. I just have to move this over one more block, which we already talked about doing. But it is going to create a little bit of an issue when we go over, to go up one. That means this is also going to have to be removed, so we can route up through there. But aside from that, I think I can get away with just doing some of this nonsense. Now, I am going to have to remove that farmhouse and flip it back to where it originally was. Yes, I'm going to have to remove this 6x1 overhang, but there is a method to all of this madness. I'll just ask that you, again, trust the process. This vertical tubeway here is going to have to be turned into a regular tubeway. Actually, no, it's not. It's going to be a vertical tubeway just because it has the structure on top of it. Or I could just, build a platform, but this kind of looks like it's actually supposed to be like that, so let's just get this knocked out of the park real quick. Right here and right here. Remember, this is going to be inaccessible for the time being because this has to have some sort of bottom to it. Unless... Oh, I may have just come up with a tremendous idea. And I do mean tremendous. Let's see here. If I were to put... not a vertical tubeway here, but if I were to just do this... Now, bear with me. I know this might not make any sense to you based on what I've just said. Put a platform here, and then on the top of that platform, put impermeable floor. I need to turn this into... yeah, I'm going to need to turn this into a tunnel. Yeah, then that can go there. This will end up being levee. Once this is built, obviously that's going to be its own thing. But then all I have to do, and I can still keep the tubeway underneath it. Then all I have to do is bring this across here with the help of 3 adjacent sets of overhangs, which, oh, see, that's not going to want to play nice now, is it? Well, I guess that's kind of my fault, but let's remove that. We'll go for 5 bys there. So that would go fine there. 6 bys would be here. Yeah, the thing that I'm dealing with here is I have to have this completely enclosed, and this being, you know, earth on the next level up is going to really, really, really help enclose this, and it's going to be just absolutely tremendous. So, before we get too carried away, impermeable floor there, I'm going to dump this right into this corner right here. There is going to be the problem of, you know, outflow when I open up this hole, but I think what we're going to need to do to make that happen is open it from the inside, which won't be too difficult. It's going to be a little annoying, a little involved, but I don't think it's impossible. I also need to figure out exactly what I'm going to be unplanting here, because I can't exactly use a 3x3, so that's going to have to be I think a 3x1 going this way, 3x1 going this way, and then just for the sake of, you know, this getting done before the heat death of the known universe, bring those in place. Let's get these prioritized. Just the removal, so that can go just a little bit faster. And then this does have to go all the way through here, but I think that's the minimum disruption. All sorts of stuff to think about. Keep in mind, now that this has been removed, we have completely cut off access to the upper levels from here. At least via tubeways. What do you mean can't get materials? We have planks. We have so many planks. Once that gets constructed, looks like that might already be in the process. Yep, there we go. Then, to get up from here, all I have to do is pop a vertical tubeway there, and then this has to be blown up, and then I suppose this can be... Do I want that to be... Yes, I do. I do want that to be that. That will need to get prioritized. Well, I mean, it's probably okay if it hasn't been, but... Remember, we're trying to get stuff done. We're not trying to spend our entire lives solving a single problem, but we can get things accomplished. Once this is all hooked up, ready to go, we will, of course, be able to demolish the entire structure above that. But since there's no water coming through this now, I am going to prioritize this tunnel construction. Just get that opened up before it is a problem. Now we have access to all this. All right, let's go. Get this thing ready to roll. Okay, 5x1 that way. 3x1 this way. These will both be 4s, and this will be a 3. It's possible there's an easier, better way to do this, but I think it's fine. You'll notice that we do have eggplant plants poking their eggplant plant through the thing that's not supposed to mess up the eggplant plants, but that's okay. Life goes on. The only people that will know are me and 20,000 people who are subscribed to this channel, so, you know, yes, casual things that nobody needs to be worried about. We should be able to build all of this from underneath because this is within 1 block high. Alright, so that's been opened up. I don't think it's ever going to show me... Oh, they haven't actually finished those, that's why. Okay, well, that at the very least is taken care of. This platform, I think, because of how this is set up, doesn't need to be here, but I'm just going to leave it in. Nothing to lose by doing this. Remember, we're making a 1 wide, 1 tall, pressurized, quote-unquote, tube. And then this level here can just be completely capped off, because all of the bad water is always going to come out this level, and all of the good water after this is shut, will flow through here. That will just make it so much better. In fact, I'm going to do it. I'm so confident that this is going to work. I sawed this boat in half. No, once again, for the second episode in a row, I do not own any flex tape. Could be a good investment, I suppose, but we're just going to remove all that ugliness and move on with our lives. This is, suffice to say, a very, very, very needed change for us to make here. So what does that get us, aside from, you know, all of this being taken care of? It gives us a whole lot of stuff to pick up off the ground. These two boys say they can't get materials, but we have the materials. We have 370 of them. And don't think I forgot that I paused all of those things, or at least thought about building more and then didn't build them. One of those two is the correct term, but it all is in reference to the same stuff. Now, why do I have so many thirsty beavers? See, I thought I'd fix that. Ah! I have a stranded beaver because I removed the unstuckify mod, because I thought it was causing a all the vowels. The Bobingabout name mod do have custom portraits. A fun Easter egg for you. Let's see who else is in here. There's a couple Easter eggs with names. Yes, I know. I have to find time to do it, but I got to put all 16 or 1700 names in this mod, and then we can finally have beard booster names. But it's a monumental undertaking, and I've had like one of the busiest weeks of my lives this past week. Not multiple lives. I'm not a cat, but I've been so busy. I just have not had time. I apologize, but stop saying but. Is the U the only one? Okay, no, we have O. Okay, okay. And then we have you. I know we already saw. And I don't see any Easter egg beaver names, unless I just completely missed them outside of those two. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled, I suppose. What a horrifying visual. Honestly, who came up with that? So what are we lacking here? Planks. But I have planks. Is that just because this isn't connected very well? Let's prioritize that. Oh, suddenly they found planks. It's like you go to some place and they're like, "Hey, can I get a shake?" And you're like, "The shake machine's broken." It's like, is it broken or have you just not cleaned it? Food for thought there. Let's see. Yeah, see, I have to be able to. Oh, they can't actually reach this level at all because somebody made a bad choice. The way this is set up, I probably don't need to worry about how this comes up. But they're not going to be able to actually access this until I am able to build up past that. So this is going to come up through here. I guess what I can do is I can rebuild this tiny two-way station because I know they can do that from above. That's not what the question is. Then this can come up to the top here, and I can rebuild the tiny two-way station there. I rotated it somehow at the same exact time that I placed it. Good job, me. But they can build this, and then they can travel down and do that from below. So this, as many of you have said, does not need to be divided anymore, and you are absolutely correct. The reason I had this divided in the first place was because, remember, a long time ago when we had these big crane platforms here, this was not fully complete, so I didn't want it to flood the entire map. However, that's no longer a problem, so we'll just remove all of that mess. I'm not going to do both sides because this is still access to the central core. Look how quickly that just spread forth across all of this. Oh, now it's like when you're a kid and you go back and forth in the bathtub and then the water goes absolutely everywhere and you get yelled at. And then you find out later on you actually caused reasonably substantial water damage that had to be repaired. Yeah, that definitely didn't happen to me. So we're moving on now. And take this away here because that is fully connected. Just expanding as we have the ability to. This quantity of explosives is something that can be stored in a smaller one. So, just to make this a little easier, I will put this right next door. That can be for, like I said, explosive storage. Set this to empty. This has pine resin, which 1200 is a lot of pine resin. And these little medium warehouses are not going to cut the mustard. But it's better than having all of it everywhere, all over the ground. But I will still have to do something about it. So that's going to go away there. Remember that this entire thing has to be moved out this way. And then we're going to run into the issue of what do we do with the overflow. And this is where I am going to be very, very tempted to do a bad thing and dump the overflow through our water structure here. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is probably right here in the center, we have these two blocks right here. The overflow should not be enough to need more than one dam in the first place. Depending on how much we're actually pumping out of it, but I'm going to design it for 2, because that's going to give us 2 edges of 2.2 each. That'll be 4.4. And because it's not going off the edge of the map, we do actually have to count. This is a 6 strength source, but assuming we have this done actually correctly, we're going to be sucking up enough of the water that it's not going to matter if it's only 4.4 falling down stuff. What does that even mean? I don't know myself, so if you could enlighten me on that, that would be great. Explosives. Massive sarcasm there, by the way. We'll just, keep on doing the thing. Remember that this is not going to be the corner here. This is going to be the corner here. And we are going to have to move the... Is that where that beaver's stranded? It is. Oh, wait. I still have Unstuckify. Oh, it's you. Okay, well, you is no longer stuck. Okay, what's the damage here? Have they just not started building this yet? They're going to do this to me with planks this entire time, huh? Where it's going to say, oh, you don't have any planks until you prioritize it, and suddenly they magically find the planks. I used to work in a restaurant. Brief story time here. Before the pandemic, and people were really bad at finding stuff in the walk-in cooler if one of the cooks asked for it. But as soon as they said, oh, I don't know where it is, and that one guy who always got really mad said, all right, and then things I'm not going to say on YouTube, I'm going to go find it myself, suddenly it appeared instantly. It was magically found. That's where we're at with the planks. That's where we're at with the planks. The game senses fear. Says this man has suffered enough at the hands of the nonsense. Well, once this is hooked back up, this should be a whole lot easier to get everything situated. I can go ahead and put a, I guess, 5x1 probably is going to be the move here. Yeah, get this hooked back up so everything... I know this is super ugly. Look, it's just the way it is. It's going to be fine. Going to be fine. This, I suppose, should just... can't do that. Can't do that. That has to be a... can't do that either. That has to be a vertical tubeway. Then that connects there. This is one of those things where I was going to remove all of the pathing and, get this thing fixed properly. But then a whole bunch of catastrophes occurred, and we had to, focus on catastrophe mitigation. Oh, I didn't have that set to empty. Okay. See, 28 there. Yeah, like I said, we all know that this is not the optimal way to do this. But sometimes in life, you have to do things that don't make a lick of sense just because they're fun or interesting. So now I have 1, 2, if I can count, 3, 4, 5, 6 storages for pine resin at 200 apiece. Now, what's 6 times 2? It's 12. What's this? It's 12. Are we going to still have a little bit left over? Yeah. But they can pick it up off the ground, and if they don't pick it up, then we'll just forget about it. And make life so much easier. So much easier. I also have some holes I have to deal with. So let's put the dirt in here. I have to be careful which way I attach this, because otherwise it's not going to want to play nice with me here. And I guess this is going to be one of those things where this doesn't actually attach, huh? It shouldn't be an issue. And this was actually what we needed to do here. Because then at that point I can take, well, I guess this is still technically supporting something, but we're not going to need it. Just pop that there. They have so many things to do. See, I can't place this one here either. So there must be one of those weird, maybe when this one gets put in place, it's how does you get stuck like this constantly? Huh. It keeps getting stuck. This has to be some sort of glitch at some point. So, I guess that's just the way it goes. But we do need to relocate the district center. I don't think at this point it's even going to be possible for us to have contaminated beavers. So maybe we don't need to worry about it. Easiest thing for us to do here. It's not the most glamorous, and it technically is really bad pathing, but the easiest thing for us to do here is just going to be to move this district center to here, and then just deal with it. So I'm going to place that here, rotate, remove. After I hit pause, this is going to completely screw up all of this stuff, and it's going to have to reload. But it's going to be fine. So now District 6 gets to be renamed to Beaverburg 20, that's not 27, as it should have been, and life goes on. Now what's this at? Planks, I just need to prioritize this entire stack. I think that would be the simplest, note I did not say most pain-free, but simplest way to deal with this. So since this is going to enter the reservoir at a height that is higher than the bottom of the reservoir, I'm wondering if it's going to run into issues with the waterfall limit, because it will only have one edge, despite being lower than the height of the liquid. Because at that point, if it's filling, it's not going down, it should be going all the way up, which does not have a limit. Unless the way the game calculates the water level is from the bottom up. If that's the case, and I don't know, I also don't know that much about programming, but if that's the case, I would imagine that's going to cause a problem. Even though it's underwater, it's probably, it's going to seek to fall to the very bottom and then go all the way up. I don't know. If you do know, please do chime in the comments. I'm very curious. So I don't really have the analytical mind for the mechanics of the game, but I do appreciate seeing them in action. At any rate, I gotta have somebody come over here and punch a hole in the wall, but I'm not going to do it yet until all of this has been built. And surprise, surprise, they don't have any planks. At least this is ready to go here. Let's blow this up. And that will give us a direct connection to here. And there. All we had to do was a little tiny jog to the side, and that is going to really, really help us out. And this has been completely closed in here. We are going to have to do the unenviable task of removing, well, we don't have to, but unenviable task of removing all of this extraneous dirt, which for the record is only a single level's worth, well, too high technically, of 6 each. Baby steps, folks. Baby steps. Just have to be able to trust the process. But it still says there's no planks. What gives about the planks? I know for a fact we have a lot of planks. We have a lot of disconnected buildings too, and I wonder if that has something to do with it because of the spacing of the two boys here. Well, seems like the cheat code here, and by cheat code I mean very valid strategy for playing the game, is to just ignore stuff and throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. You might surprise yourself. Regardless, for some reason we have to wait for them to have planks, even though we have planks, and that is just what it is. But let's prepare for this. If it does in fact end up being an issue with the waterfall limit, then all I'm going to have to do to satisfy that is put in a couple of platforms, which I think see 2. I'm only gonna need 3 edges, but I can do that by putting in a platform here and then 2 impermeable floors, which will technically create, without removing any volume from this structure, will create 1, 2, 3 edges. Now, can they reach this? No, they absolutely cannot. We will have to, if we're going to be doing something like this, have them come in from above, so to speak. This is ready to go. That's ready to go. That's ready to go. I believe that should bring this all the way down to the bottom, and it does. That means that we will have the ability to, come on, have the ability to put our triple platforms in here, 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 here. Pop that in there, and we're already looking pretty good. Remember why we were blowing this up? Is so that we could have our 3x3 space in the corner. So now this is able to get a little bit of help from the same exact kind of friend here with the triple platform. This needs to be a single. Well, it probably doesn't need to be either. I'm sure there's a much better way to have done this. But this is the way that I find myself doing everything these days. Just kind of seeing what works and ignoring what doesn't. So that large warehouse gets to go away, which means we can put in the levee all the way up here. And then this entire back wall here gets to be something else. Now, before I remove this, this is the only link, direct path link, that is not up here between here and over here. And that's all got to go. That isn't an issue until we realize that there's no direct access over to here. So what's going to have to happen, I think, at least for right now, which would make the most sense. That's not going to cover a doorway. It absolutely is. Okay. This doesn't need to be here. And I will leave this space open if and when I want to rebuild. I don't know that I will. But this on the outside here will give us a very good excuse to get up on top of everything, send these guys over this way, and then down somewhere else, which conveniently... Remember, I said I was going to redo all this, and I still haven't redone it? Well, this hopefully... Oh, that's one too high. Will make things a substantial bit easier, because then, as soon as they can get up on top of this thing, then they can come over here, and then they can come over here, and these don't have to technically be connected to each other at all. It's just, if I don't have these connected right here, or some sort of pass-through, then to get from the district center all the way over here, they have to go all the way around, and then to find a ladder to go up. And, you know, so on and so forth. So this is, in fact, 11 tiles, just like the others are 11. Or they're supposed to be. No, they are. I've got some extra space because of the way this was laid out to build a little bit more here while we are waiting. That path isn't connected anyway. See, we didn't even need to worry about it. Let's put that there, put that there. How are things looking down in we don't know where the planks are land? Looks like they found them, or at least a very convincing duplicate. That's there. This platform does not have an impermeable floor, or does it? Or can it not, because it's got something else on top of it. No, that's an overhang, that's an impermeable floor. Oh, okay, it is placed, but because of the way this is set up, I'm not going to be able to see it. That's what had happened. Okay. Well, can't really be mad about this, now can we? Yeah, just so many things that have to get fixed. Did we ever finish? No, we did not. Well, not like I need more housing right now anyway, but this will help us to, you know, get access to stuff a little bit more easily. So 5 of those right there brings us right up to this. I know we could stack more on here, but at this point we just need a cleaner way for these to connect so that I can continue building everything else everywhere else. They're going to take their sweet time doing this, I'm sure. I also probably should get rid of this vertical separation. A lot of people mentioned the horizontal separation here and here being a little bit of an issue. But the vertical separation, I think, is a little bit more interesting, because it hasn't really caused us any problems. It's just kind of annoying. So what if we just left it like that? I don't know. I think it would be a smart idea. Or at least an easy idea. Not smart, necessarily. Let's see. These areas that had chunks of land put back in. Is that going to make it possible for us to put another one of the... It is! Very good. Very good. This, despite our slightly increased consumption of extract, assuming those baby beaver brewing buckets or adult beaver brewing areas, that's right, because these are all adults, are not chugging this stuff down fast enough. They did build them, so that's good. These are not prioritized by haulers, so let's fix that. Alright, making some nice progress here. Very, very slowly, but we're getting there. I'm just so anxious for this to actually be finished. I don't think there's anywhere for it to go. The water, that is. So let's find a way to get our beavers in here and just build. We should only need a single tunnel piece right here. As a reminder, this is capped right there. Now we have to be able to get into the tunnel area. That's going to involve something up here. Another scenario in which I am grateful for the mute button. But I digress. Time must go on. Take this all the way up. This is a path already here. And, see, we're not going to be able to really build too much else right now without just getting that taken care of. Easiest, note I said easiest, not necessarily best, way is to go here to here and then connect to that. We can build on top of a set of ladders. That is, well, it's a path orientation area anyway. So that's not an issue. We can just leave this in place so that we have access down below should we need it, or should we decide to build some other network of water pumps somewhere else down there. Baby steps, folks. Baby steps. So that's looking good there. This, they're not even close to... Ah, yes, it's the planks. Now, is this because I don't have... Ugh, forgot. Is this because I don't have plank storage available? I do have plank storage, but there's no planks in said plank storage. Let's prioritize one of those and set that to obtain. That should probably help. I know we had them. We just hadn't done a great job of utilizing that space. That sound is absolutely horrifying. And now it's time to actually get these things all connected. At least, you know, a little bit. This will be connected to here. Remember when I said I wasn't going to, you know, leave all this storage in this place, and I thought I was going to be, you know, some smart guy that would have done it better, and then I didn't do that? Yeah, me too. Nothing to do in range. Like, I know, you got to wait for your time to shine. It might take a while. But it's coming. Yeah, see, they can't even get down here. I got 8.3 days before this becomes a problem. As a reminder, we don't have a sluice to direct good water anywhere. We are only using this one sluice to get rid of bad water this closes below 2% contamination. We might adjust it a little bit higher depending on if this decides to back up or overflow or what have you. We'll see what happens. I don't know what else we can reasonably do here, but I also don't want to just have this time-lapsed where you can't really see anything. Well, that's probably what I'm going to have to do. So they don't have any other way of really getting any of the rest of this stuff taken care of, except for just waiting. Alright, well, there's enough stuff to look at here to, I guess, kind of keep you entertained for a brief moment of time while we time-lapse this. We do have 8 days left in the bad tide. I'm really hoping that our water intake situation is going to be fine at the end of this bad tide. We will find out together because I have not tested this. But I've been told by some very smart people that this is exactly how this is supposed to work. The theoretical idea that we proposed. So I will see you in just a moment, in which we will maybe, hopefully, probably, but possibly not, find out whether or not our watering solution through the eggplant area is going to actually do anything. Okay, so they finished everything that I wanted them to finish before we had our temperate cycle come back. And I am sorry to report that I made a pretty bad error in judgment when I, you know, let all this water out here, because now this entire corner of the map is not irrigated on this level. But it is on this one, and then you get down here and it's just not working. Because there's no water over here to take care of anything. So a whole lot of these crops are dead, a whole lot of these crops are dead, a whole lot of these crops are dead, and these trees are not dead, but they're definitely not doing well. The coffee bushes, they're super dead. Or they're going to be dead. And blueberry bushes also. This is a huge problem that the blueberry bushes are dead. Because we have to have those. We have to have those for these things. So, what have we learned? Well, one of the biggest problems that I had was not having this thing filled up before I closed it off. Like, the water level just was not high enough. So, this is enough to stay through the longest drought, but it wasn't full to begin with, so obviously that was never, ever going to be a successful endeavor. The good news is it can be fixed. It's just going to have to end up with a 24-day lag on new berries. But we have 1,200, so I guess that's probably fine. Now let's take a quick stock of this. We have 1.3 days left. I believe these are all ready to go. We do have the impermeable floors. We just can't see them on this level because of how the game renders objects. So there is one here. There is one here on all of these. We can click on it individually. And there we go. Yep. So because this is quote-unquote pressurized, we should see this be very, very, very good very quickly. And this is still the overflow. We did not have time to get my other solution figured out. But we're still making some decent progress. Slow as it may be. We have some of these dynamites we need to set off. There's still more that needs to be removed for this to be, you know, actually properly taken care of. But that was a big first step there. I don't know why it wasn't letting me rotate things for a while, but that has to go down there, that has to go down there, and then everything else is underneath this, and I haven't gotten around to getting rid of that quite yet. So once those are taken care of, well, I guess I could start it now. We do need to get this connected all the way over here. This will be plenty fine, just like so. To get that path go all the way across. Looks like this is ready here. Alright, and you know what that means. It means it's time for us to have all of this set up. And then I just have to remember what my math is going to be here. I think it's just... yeah, 2's on top of everything else, and then 3's on top of that. So I know this series has taken a huge long time to get to this point, but I feel like we are finally just about ready to get that population up to about 500. Once the crops all grow back, that is. The water situation, once all of these pumps are put in place and everything else is taken care of, is going to be tremendously good. We have enough beavers now to where we can actually do what we want to be doing and not have to worry about too much more. And I think, I know it's not as efficient materials-wise to just make all this out of triple platforms instead of just using overhangs or whatever, but I think it's fine. It's going to be just fine. So that will go in there. That will go in there. I don't need this to be 13 wide or whatever math works out to, but that's what it's going to be. All right, let's hit pause because I am just so excited to see this. So that's already... yeah, okay, already filling up. That saves so much time. So much time versus, you know, preloading this whole mess and then everything falling down. I'm really curious to see what happens when this gets above the height of this thing here. I mean, we're not having any issues with enough water coming over these things here, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But it is just so nice to see this all irrigated again. It's not as quick filling as I thought it was. I really thought this would take a lot less time to move up to the top of this level. But I guess it's good for us to find this out. 43 episodes in. I just need to see this go past right here. We'll go up one more level and see if the spread pattern changes at all. Because right now this is still technically flowing off of here. Alright, so we'll see these zebra stripes, or whatever you want to call them, show up as this level gets reached. We go up one more. And... I mean, I guess this might still technically be filling from the bottom up. Interesting. Interesting. So this is ready to blow. We'll have one more here. Goes there. Okay, good. They did finish that quite a while ago. Means this can go, this can go. This can go because it's going to be replaced with a storage. So now I've got mangrove fruits, which we don't have. We've got fermented soybeans. We've got fermented cassava. We've got eggplant rations. We've got algae rations. And then the only other foods we really have are berries, which, you know, it's not really a food. Kohlrabies, which we're not even growing. But we have the space, so we might as well have 7 different types of food here. There are 9. We are not currently growing... oh, that's not algae. That's corn rations. We're not currently growing algae. And we're not currently growing mushrooms. So, actually, I should get ahead of myself here and make a storage for those for when we actually will need them. 'Cause not having that storage available is really not going to be a smart choice when it comes to that. Just got to make sure we're doing what we can here. So now we're going to have 2 full rows of this. I will go ahead and remove this tank and, yes, the frog statue. I know. The suffering is just absolutely grotesque. But I do need to put in the rest of these deep water pumps. And I believe because of how this is set up, these are going to have to be limited to 4... That should take care of everything. This one might not even need to be limited to... Oh, no, it does. This one was just different because of how the stuff got set up, but this does need to be limited to 4. That one, that's set for maximum maximum depth. Okay. All right, so that solves that problem. That solves that problem. This one was already going to be automatically limited to 4 just because of how the straw sits on top of other stuff. So, 13 here, that's 26. I actually hope this is 13. I think it probably is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. So, 26 here. We'll have another 26 here. That is 52. Plus more over this way. This should be another 8 here. Another 8 here, another 8 here, another 8 here, so that's another 32. So we're at almost 90. And I think the magic number was somewhere around 100-ish. So, you know, we're looking pretty good. Not too far off. Reminder that this still is not adequately built out here. I know my OBS recording thing is saying that I've been recording over an hour. I know some of that is time-lapsing, so I will be able to take care of a little bit more in this episode for having to call it quits for the day. So this has to go... Well, it doesn't have to go, but it's definitely a lot better to go all that way around there. And it's going to be time for us to remove all of these pumps. Not all of the platforms, but all of the pumps. I think while these are out, I'm going to need to blast the rest of this land away to make this just the full depth. That will give us, I guess, about half, maybe a little bit more than half of one layer in additional capacity just because the dirt's not going to be there. That is going to cut the central core off until I'm able to get a, well, not a bridge. Bridge wouldn't be the right answer here. But until I'm able to get the pathing to go in the correct way. I don't have a lot of planks. Just period, point, blank, point, plank. Ha. Get it? Yeah, I know. It's a terrible joke. I don't necessarily want to shut down the treated plank production, but we're also not really using it outside of the mine, which isn't even connected by paths anymore. That is a huge error, and I'm almost certain somebody said something about it. But that's directly related to our tiny tube-way station nonsense. So, this is probably going to be unpopular, but I'm going to put this here. Just out of an abundance of caution. Because you know how this ends up going. You need to make sure that gets taken care of. So we really weren't using at all any treated planks. And I'm already running out of planks. But to be fair, we did some pretty stupid stuff with this. But I do only have, I think, 3 of these industrial lumber mills. And I believe... Yeah, these need to be prioritized. They really should have been this entire time. Let's just check and make sure I don't have any hidden ones somewhere. So that would be under I for I want to make planks. Yeah, there's only 3 of them, but they are prioritized now, so maybe that'll go a little bit quicker. I know we're going to need more. That's not what's on trial here right now. It's just some sort of bad, poorly thought out attempt to actually get stuff accomplished. So I'm going to put another industrial lumber mill over here. I'm going to flip this so this doesn't get sucked up by the ladder. And that is going to help us just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. So this still, we have in 1.7 days a drought approaching. This still is not full. So that to me says this reservoir might be about the right size. We're also, you know, we're pumping mightily here. How many of these pumps do we have? 53. Yeah, so this is one of the shorter temperate seasons we can roll. I think technically this is going to start on day 6, so it's almost the minimum. And we need another 3.2 blocks of height to get this completely full up. But there's no wastage. There's no spill. No anything. We have things irrigated once again. These are going to be completely full. And we will learn now when we build our additional storage pockets here and here, although this one is probably not that important, we will have it filled before it drains so that it will stay in here and we won't have to worry about, losing much of anything. It is just really unfortunate that we lost so many berry bushes. This is not connected to anything because I did not have the tiny two-way stations after I had to disable that mod. So that will help get this replanted at the very least. I think everything else is looking pretty okay. We're not in a situation where dirt is a big issue, so this has not been a problem. But I think we are going to want to have it. And why? Oh, that was a ladder that never got rebuilt. Okay. Okay, that explains that. That will fix that problem. Yeah, everything else, for the most part, is looking pretty good. Don't really have a whole lot of room to complain. Let's get this prioritized. Yeah, see, this isn't even overflowing. So now, honestly, I'm kind of thinking we're not going to need to really worry about doing another overflow. At least not right now. And I know I did say I wanted to make sure that the new water filling method was going to be taken care of properly before the end of this episode. And by all accounts, it seems to be fine. We're 0.7 days away from a drought, and we are only 2 blocks shy of a completely full reservoir on the shortest possible length. So that honestly seems fine, with no wasting whatsoever of the shortest, one of the shortest possible temperate cycles. That's good design, even if it's still, a little bit smaller of a capacity than we really want. That's good. I can be satisfied with that. And I know you guys typically like these to be a little bit longer videos, but I think this is going to be a good place to stop for today. I know there's still plenty of other stuff we have to do, things that we haven't quite gotten taken care of. But we're on the right track. We've solved a couple of major problems, and most importantly, the population is growing again. We're at 282. I think we can be pretty happy with that. So this is where the end of episode fun stuff begins. You already know Beard Boosters directly subsidize everything we do here, so I don't have to take sponsorships and I don't have to do stuff just to please the algorithm. We can have fun with the beavers and do insane things like, hey, we're on episode 43 of this challenge that a whole lot of people have already completed thanks to those colony submissions. But we're having fun doing it our own way with all of the problems and everything included. So as cycle 78 temperate cycle ends up completing here in just a moment, we will put a pin in this and we will come back in the next episode. But I don't think it's going to be Tuesday, because Tuesday we're going to start a brand new series. I will see you then. I'll let you know exactly when the next episode of this one's going to come out, but it's time for us to at least start something new. We're not abandoning this, but I do need to get something else rolling here, because it's been quite a long time since we've restarted a new series. So I'll see you then. Take care. Stay safe. Have fun. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.